We're on. This is happening. Okay.
Yes.
This is the Kristi and Kev's happy hour. You join us I don't even know what the fuck this is about. K-pop or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah,
anyway,
true.
So Kristi and Kev's happy hour, K-pop something or other. It's also on the 16th anniversary of the death of Ronald Reagan. So good times. Yes. I'm Kevin Logan, your hostess with the leastess, and heaven must be missing an angel because she's here with us right now. It's Dr. Kristi Winters.
Hey, Kev. How are you?
Fucking awesome as a host is
yes,
what I am.
You are awesome as a host. Especially that Dare coming in that on the top. That was awesome. That was my favorite bit.
That's especially awesome, yeah. That was like performance art, Krista.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah.
Right, so I guess I should probably take over because I'm the person who organized all of this and basically asked you to show up so I could talk to you about K-pop for an hour.
You can do, although I've got a
why don't you tell the story? Give some updates on real life. So this is Escapism. We know the world is on fire.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to dip out to keep going.
On that sort of note, I do a series on this channel called Prager FU, where I call Dennis Prager bad names. It's fun.
Yeah.
And debunk billionaire shill nonsense from university, quote unquote. Prager.
No, it's just a U.
No. It's nothing to do with me. What are you talking about? Outrageous. Anyway, and I've got an episode of that coming out in hopefully the next few days, and it's about racial injustice in America. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Kev, you are jumping on a bandwagon there, my friend. What the hell are you doing? I've got to get out though, because this was originally supposed to be broadcast or put out in January.
Oh well.
Yes.
Yeah, you are. You do have your fingers on the pulse.
I was ahead of my time there, yeah. It was supposed to be out in January. It got slightly delayed by some personal stuff, which sort of slowed down the gears of making videos. And then, obviously, my channel got flagged to fuckery.
Yeah.
So it was 3 months of nothingness. And then now it's back. And it just so happens to be a time when I'm responding to a video by a black cop talking about racial injustice in America and how basically it's not a thing.
Okay.
Almost as if months down the line, the literally reality is proving PragerU wrong.
Yeah, conservatives, reactionaries often have this problem that reality doesn't actually conform to their ideology.
Indeed so. So that'll be out in a few days. But I was just sort of re-editing some of that stuff. Not re-editing, like finishing off the editing or getting towards the end of it. And I was like, people are never going to believe this. But luckily, I've got proof because there's a small voiceover bit from Mexi, the fantastic socialist YouTuberist, who you should all go and follow. She's awesome. And I asked her for that in January. So if anyone doubts that I'm not just bandwagon jumping and trying to be like, oh yeah, hot button issue and jumping on the death of this dude.
I like jumping better.
Jumping. Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
No, but I like it.
That's
hip hop and jumping.
The older I'm getting, the more like my father I'm getting. I'm just making up words. Really. He's very Irish with it as well. Like he'll make up words and then absolutely insist they are proper words. They're not. There's nobody he's talking about. What was I going to say? Anyway, yeah. So that's a thing.
Yeah, there's also a thing.
So the world's shit. But Kristi's got K-pop or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So as with if you're running for a while and you start to get out of breath, you need to just walk for 1/10 of a mile, or if you're unfit like me, a 1/2 mile of a 2-mile jog. No.
Or you just get a fucking taxi. Why are you running anywhere? Fuck
exactly.
that.
No, I don't run.
If I need to get somewhere, there are wheels.
Yes, that's what I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Effort is wasted. Yeah. Like, what's the point of sport? Run around, you just get tired. Anyway, so
what did I bother learning to drive if I was going to then fucking run places?
And walk everywhere. Yes.
Exactly.
But I've realized, especially in the last week, that there are moments where I just need to dive into something else, and it's a break. And so we're not ignoring the world. We're just trying to cope. So this is a completely off topic. Let's just find something interesting that's nothing to do with anything horrible going on. And I should, actually, before we start, you might want to tell the story you told me before we went on air. Because how I found this song is actually kind of related to resisting white supremacy. So you want to talk about
what story?
The
what story
march?
Did I tell you?
You said you went to a march, or there was a march?
Oh, well, it wasn't a march. It was just a demonstration. I say just a demonstration. It was one hell of a demonstration. Yeah, there was BLM Birmingham here in Birmingham, surprisingly enough. Yeah, loads of people turned out. It was fucking huge outside the big library in the centre of town. Which if you've subscribed to my history channel, as you should have done, you'll know all about the library.
Yes, you fingered someone. No.
Anyway,
it was the old one.
So basically, that was the old library. I have yet to finger anyone outside the new library.
Get on that.
But if there are any ladies who want to volunteer, come on now. I can show you a good time.
Literally. Okay.
Anyway. It's a place for learning and fingering, as we know.
The hour 2020.
Yes. So, so it was outside the sort of main library, but there's also like a bit of a kind of freeway bit that goes sort of just on the outskirts of town, and they sort of shut down the traffic there by doing the kneeling protest, which was incredibly brave from the first few people that did it. Once it all stopped, who cares? In terms of the bravery, look, it's still an incredible sight and all the rest of it, but because they fucking absolutely bomb it down that bit of freeway, so they must. I mean, they're genuinely putting their lives in danger there. Yeah, they were not fucking around. Anyway, so I went to that, and it was amazing showing. Some lovely stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, I was giggling because
Orion... one sign that made me. Yeah. Sorry, there was one sign that genuinely made me laugh. Someone went there with, and they even had the it was all hand drawn on a bit of cardboard, and they even had the emoji, the appropriate emoji. You'll know which one in a second. And it said, systemic racism is small dick energy. Amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That is good. Yes, very good. All right. Right. Well, so I started off. I found basically a song. You said before that you like doing the cultural things.
Sorry. Just to put in for a second. Tony in the chat. Yeah, I called it a freeway because Americans won't understand if I say motorway or whatever. They don't understand these other
way
words.
Where the motors go.
If
what
I say
that?
Freeway to a British person, well, exactly. But I'll do it with football, and they think I mean NFL, and I don't. But if I say American football, they're like, "Well, that's patronising." Anyway, K-pop.
Right. Yeah. So, I had noticed 2 days ago or so that there was news coverage of an attempts by white supremacists to get the hashtag White Lives Matter going. Right. And I think on the last happy hour, we talked about how the K-pop fans were flooding some police department with the fan cam stuff, and they shut it down.
Yeah. Well, was it Dallas or something like that?
So.
It was one of the Texas cities, yeah.
Yes, Texas. And sorry, that's a little reference to how the guy pronounces it in Thor Ragnarok, if you remember. Anyway. So there was another sort of K-pop trolling. You may have noticed
Kristi's a fucking geek.
I am a geek, yes. There was a K-pop trolling of that hashtag where they just put fan cam stuff, or just they flooded it with more K-pop. So it was a whole bunch of hashtags, and they would just stick in White Lives Matter, and it will be a K-pop video to flood the White Lives Matter attempt, or White Lives Matter trolling attempt. And I was flipping through them, and there was one video. It looked kind of interesting, so I clicked on it. There was about 5 seconds of it, and I was like, "What am I listening to? This is amazing!" This is not what when I've heard K-pop, I think of something like boy band kind of melodies and soft stuff, but this was not what I was expecting. So I went down.
Although. Talking of silly white racist nonsense on Twitter, which I know is not really the point, but it is relevant to a kind of running joke on the show. What did I send you earlier, Kristi, about a certain movie?
You sent me information that it was trending. It was White Chicks was
Yeah,
trending.
the movie White Chicks, which I think I've described previously as the worst film ever made,
Right.
was trending #1 in the UK. And I thought to myself, oh my God, it's happening. Especially because underneath the second number was Sam Mendes. And I thought, if he's making a fucking remake if he's rebooting the White Chicks franchise, I'm going to be furious. But thankfully it wasn't. Although,
okay.
In hindsight, I wish that it was, because what it actually was loads of racists moaning, as you do.
Oh, okay.
Because there was a British comedian, Lee Francis, who did some amazing comedic work back in the day and some shit recent work. And part of the old work, which he was very late 90s, early 2000s, where he sort of partly blacked up a little bit. Like, it wasn't full, like, fucking
it wasn't
a minstrel show or anything
Dusty
like that.
Boy we saw.
No, he did a show. No. Oh, no. It was he did a show called Bo Selector, which was
my God, yeah,
show,
I know that
which
guy.
I really loved, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was mostly penis
right,
jokes.
Lee Francis.
Okay.
Well, it was, and the joke. The kind of joke of it was that it was a kind of an impressions show where the impressions were purposefully fucking dreadful.
Yeah.
So there were famous people who were barely recognizable as the people themselves. Is kind of the joke, right? Including his Michael Jackson, who's only really noticeable by the fact that he's got the red outfit from the Thriller video, and that's about it. That's the only real thing.
Wouldn't he occasionally go hee hee?
Yeah. And Shamon.
That was about
Shamon, every sentence. Yes. So he came out and said, like, in the wake of the whole thing, he's apologising for blacking up. He shouldn't have done that, right? Even though it was a long time ago, people really weren't holding it against him, but he did that. And so all these fucking racist white people were like, well, what about white chicks? Apart from me on this show, who the fuck has talked about white chicks for 15 fucking years? Ridiculous.
What about?
And it's really not the same, because how many black people have whited up to attack white people ever? Dave Chappelle. That's about it.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy did a thing where in a Saturday Night Live skit where he whited up to see what it was like to be a white person, and then he would go into a bank and sit down next to a white guy who was asking for a loan. He's like, here, he just gives him a stack of cash. He's like, just take it, it's fine, just take it. All kind of.
But Eddie Murphy has been more racist towards black people in Coming to America. So I'll
yeah. See, I can't call him out for whiting up in an SNL skit that was written probably by white people as well. So but white chicks, apparently still sticking in the craw of white supremacists. Good.
Yeah, and I don't know why, because I mean, it's like that's never going to take off. White chicks, rightly, is panned as a piece of shite.
Nobody's offended by white chicks other than at a movie level.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the thing that offends me about white chicks is not the whiting up element of it. It's virtually everything else about the film.
Yes.
Anyway.
Okay, so we back on track here. We got off our white chicks tangent.
I will never get off my white chicks tangent. It's just occasionally it temporarily takes a break and allows other people to speak for a bit, and then I'm back on the white chicks train.
Junta. Yes. All right. Well, we'll talk about wise man time a little bit later. Okay. You're sated for the moment. You've got your white chicks.
For now.
Yes,
for now.
All right. Okay. So continuing with my story, which you interrupted. That's okay, because I remember now where I was. It's okay. It's only when I forget where I was when you interrupted me that I go, But, all right, so I saw this clip.
But another thing about white chicks.
Yeah. Another. So I clicked on the music, and I was just completely instantly in love with the song. I was like, there are times you just hear music and you're like, I need to hear more of this. I need to hear all of this. What is this, right? So I wrote back to the person, like, what is this song? And they sent me the title, and I went and I listened to it, and I wrote them back. I was like, thank you, you've changed my life. Like, this music is amazing. So I'll just do the short version of, I went down the rabbit hole and watched a couple of videos on the background of this, and the more I kind of learned about it and appreciated it, I thought, oh, this would be really good for a happy hour, because we haven't done a cultural one in a while, and I was confident that you are not familiar with K-pop too much. I take it you haven't heard this song yet.
I haven't heard any
Yes.
songs of K-pop, so no, I don't know it.
So I guess what I'd like to do is, if I had someone who could have shown me the proper way to hear and appreciate this song, I would have liked it, because the first time I watched the video I was lost, and then I did research, and then I learned more about it. So I've kind of set this up so that you can explore it on its many different levels in a way that's organized and structured.
Okay, that's nice, but all I'll say is I'm skeptical.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
I'm going into it with as open a mind as I can. I am skeptical.
Okay, all right. So I guess the first thing I want to say is we're going to watch the video through twice is my plan. Because it's in Korean, there are subtitles, but I find that watching it with the subtitles is quite distracting because your eye is obviously torn between looking at the text and watching the visuals. So the first time, what my thought is, this is my teaching plan for the show. I'm going to give you some basic outlines to really help you understand what's happening in the video without being too intrusive. All right, so I'm just going to give you a general structure of what you're looking at and how to interpret some of the images that you're going to see. And also,
okay. I want people to keep a count, though, or a straw poll. How patronizing do you think this might be towards me?
It's not patronizing to anyone. I didn't do it just for you. I'm doing it for the chat and anyone watching in the future as well.
Okay. Well, how patronizing do you think this is going to be to you, chat? Okay. Oh, Kristi set herself against the chat now. Ooh.
All right. So the other thing too that I want to talk about, because I think it's sort of important, is the song itself is a lot less K-pop than you might expect. It's actually more hip-hop than K-pop. So the question is, how do you enjoy a song in a language you don't understand? And with hip-hop, I realized it's actually quite easy, because what an artist does lyrically is they create almost like another percussive instrument or a percussion instrument with their voice. They create their own rhythm, almost like a drum has its own, like you can do different drum beats, right? So if we think about the lyrics here as percussion, the consonants will kind of give you the rhythm of the various lines. And then vowel sounds will, a lot of rappers will try to make sounds rhyme or do a whole line of certain kinds of vowels. So what you're going to be listening for here in the first time when we watch the video through is listen for the way that the consonants and vowels go together, and like how his flow, how he kind of rides the flow, because he mixes up his patterns quite a lot and in very interesting ways. The other thing that you'll be able to pay attention to more in the first listening than when we put the closed caption on is listen to how he uses high and low notes in his voice. If you think about someone like, Biggie or a lot of American rappers, they tend to keep their voice in a sort of a bit more of a monotone. Eminem does a bit more crazy up and down noises, but one thing I really noticed here is that August D, also known as Suga, also known as what's his name? Min Yoon Ji, which is his real name. He has a really great dynamism to his voice. It's like the Welsh accent's more melodic than other accents, or an Indian accent is a lot more melodic than some accents. So that's it. Okay, so the narrative here.
How would you describe the German accent?
Very consonant heavy.
Like a car crash?
Like a lot of no, that's like, but a lot of sh and hard noises. It's very guttural.
Yeah, like an explosion in a factory. Yeah.
Not quite that intense, but explosion in a factory.
Like a machine gun of words.
Yeah, I guess if you listen to some of the Bach cantatas, the Coffee Cantata, for instance, there's a lot of consonants there. Okay, so a little bit about the video, just to get some context. The framework is a 17th century Korean influence, so he's kind of bringing in a bit of the modern times as well as his own cultural history, which is another thing that's interesting about this, is the way it mixes a lot of different cultures, but it's still quite authentically August D, or if you want to say Suga. So the general... Yes, go ahead.
Okay, but are we ever gonna hear a fucking song here? What's happening?
Will you just listen? Shut up and listen. So the general narrative here is you're going to see Suga playing both roles in this video. He's both the good guy and the bad guy. And is there anything else that we need to know in the first watching? I don't think so. Basically, I think you'll see it's sort of a little bit of a mix of history, and he's telling the story about somebody sort of rising up, coming from the common people and taking on a tyrant. If you have headphones on, please put them on. The sound here is amazing. And also...
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got my headphones on. Yeah.
Also, the cinema photography here, I'm not going to do HD because it's just too much of a pull, but it's absolutely stunning to look at. So I think that's about it. I think we're ready to go. You've got enough of the narrative, you know, to pay attention to both the song, but also like the rapping and how to listen to it, and a little bit about the story. So here we go. Interesting opening for a modern song, but how is the volume level for you, Kevin?
Bit loud.
Okay, I can pull it back a bit. That's why I check before we commit. First watching yet, we're going to get to watch it more than once because there's too much going on. And is that size all right for you? Is it big enough for you to see the screen, or do you want me to go full screen? Okay.
No, that's cool.
Okay, so from the beginning, Roy Katz did not eat Kevin's headphones, although Kevin does... yeah, have multiple ones. All right. Sorry, Rory Katz. Here we go. It looks like a movie.
Yeah. Oh. 범으로 태어났지 적어도 너처럼 약하지 않지 촉박되는 강제로 단지 속가 존나게 어이없지 싹 다 죽여 난 예의 없이 새끼 그래 너 예외 없이 flexing 난 없지 필요 다 없지 Who's the king who's the boss 다 알잖아 내 이름 이만 산 새끼들 당장 놈의 목을 쳐 나를 타기엔 이 나라 아직 여전히 작아 누가 시간은 그 미래 내 시간은 더 비싼데 틱탁슨 빅새끼도 명성의 아침을 꽉 뺐 가끔 적이 없는 맥주 우리 박수역 비리 매종종종종종 잘 감사해 내가 천천히 맥주 그런 이유로 약간 발전에 애잔하게 끝이 없는 재능이 없는 거지 뭐 원하는 건 모두 가졌지 이제는 물려가져야만 만족이 될지 내가 원했던 건 너 때문에 넌 담은 걸걸 이 다음은 도대체 뭐지 그 다음은 그래 뭘까 심히 느껴지는 현타 위가 없는 현상 위험보다 난 이젠 강하대만 보다가 이대로 척취하고파 I'm a king I'm a boss 새겨놓아 내 이름 이만 산 새끼들 당장 놈의 줘 I'm a king I'm a boss 다 알잖아 내 이름 이만 산 새끼들 당장 놈의 먹을 줘
Okay. So that was it.
Right.
Thoughts?
The cinematography was beautiful.
It was
absolutely
amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, the music's not for me.
Yeah, someone said it was trappy, and that's right. It's definitely got quite a trap beat to it, which I quite like. But
yeah.
Yes. So
also, is there a little bit in English I heard in there?
Yes.
During the middle
Yeah,
of it?
yeah. That's one of the things I noticed BTS and other bands, the K-pop bands do. They'll just throw in randomly some English phrases, which, yeah, kind of like, oh, I heard something I thought I understood there for a second. So.
Yeah, that's like the adverts during the Indian cricket. It's always like it'll say lots and lots of Indian stuff, and then randomly life insurance.
Yeah, well, I got that in
into
Germany
Hindi
a
again.
lot. Yeah, like signs in English, like advertising in English. I'm like, what country am I in? But okay, so let's talk a little bit more about.
Well, it is. If it's good enough for Jesus.
Yeah, actually, nobody. Someone didn't actually say that. That's a bit of an urban legend, but. You want it to be true. Okay, quite a lot of. Okay, so I learned about this from watching this video, which is from DKDK TV. So go and check out this full video, because if you...
No, that's pronounced Dick TV.
Yeah. So if you enjoy, like, I'm only putting about 5% or 10% of what is covered in here. Well, maybe a bit more than that, but this is the original, so you should go check it out. But what's interesting to know now is all of the symbolism and the history that's contained in this video. So first of all, the term dejita refers to a piece of music that's played. Traditionally, it was played for the king or during like royal events. It's also associated with the army and being played during like military parades. So it has a sort of both royal and also like mass connections in Korean culture, from what I've heard. And as well, so we can see here that you saw that there was an executioner. All right, so I'll start here. The story starts out when we get the tyrant Suga here. One of the ways that you can read this is sort of like Suga in a video, which I also watched the making of this, is saying he's sort of fighting himself. But there's also here an allegory for the way that Suga and BTS overcame the corporate hegemony of the music industry in South Korea. So in this reading,
am I too boomer? What is BTS?
It's a pop band. It's a K-pop band. So the way that things worked in Korea is there were
this person was a part of that band,
right? So for a very long time, from my understanding, the Korean music industry was pretty much run by corporations, and if you didn't get in, you didn't get in. And BTS was part of a small company that was going up against this, and they managed to become a huge global pop band despite not having that. And they kind of broke down that hegemony of the corporate producership in Korea. As well, music artists in the music system had terrible contracts. They were really exploited. They made very little money, and they made a lot of money for the businesses. And the whole K-pop revolution is actually kind of like, explosion has put a light on the conditions that the artists work in and has questioned that. So in some ways, there was sort of like a revolution that was happening in the music industry. And one reading of this video is that the blonde Suga here, it represents the corporate interests and the tyranny. So the link here for tyranny is, if you see one of the first shots, you don't really necessarily notice it because we're Western, and we don't see it because we're like, oh my God, this is a beautiful shot. But these here are all dead people. So they're like covered with mats. So you get the image immediately that this guy is a tyrant. That's sort of the visual representation that you might miss. And then it switches, and we get sort of commoner Suga, which, this is like the revolutionary one, the one that's sort of coming up and is connected to the people and is more linked up with the people and what they want. So he comes through here.
But also starts rapping in the middle of a medieval Korean marketplace.
So like I said, nice. there's a mix between the old and the new. There's also the mix between West and East. So there's a lot of interesting things going on. There's a little bit of comedy here where there's a fight in the background. This butcher is actually set up for a particular reason. Sorry, I skipped it. So the butcher shows up initially here when you start to see the meat. I guess I was wrong. He's over here. So the person who is playing the guy who butchers the cow is the same guy who is the executioner. Right. So there's one single scene early on. I'll put it on mute here now so we can't hear it, where he has a scene where he is looking at the executioner. They have a scene where they're sort of staring at each other, and that's meant to set up later, which we saw the executioner doesn't kill him, he frees him. Right. So they're setting up basically the revolution from the start of the video. The other thing that's interesting to note, so here, we've got Tyrant Suga, and here we've got people bending down. These are the court officials, again, representing like all of the dominance and his complete and total authority, his tyranny over everybody. So he's just using them, he sort of jumps on a person's back at one point. He's such a tyrant. Then at this point, he's got this scene where he shows up. So he's initially in the market, and then he goes to get his crew, and his crew is made up of there's 5 guys stood here that could be seen as representing BTS or the other members of BTS, and then the woman here represents all the fans. And this is like the revolutionary or the so like the breaking up how things have been done. So this is his crew, and these are the people who are going to go challenge the king and go challenge the tyrant. So the next thing you'll need to know about Korean culture in order to get this video is that when he badged Suga, the tyrant one, now just says, off with their heads, you're going to see an execution scene. So the first thing they show is this bell, which traditionally in Korean culture, if this bell was used to, if you had like something bad happened or you had a complaint.
Is that a bell?
It is a bell. It's a gong. It's a gong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gong. You would clang it if you your house was broken into or something bad happened, and then the officials would come and help you. So the idea is that when you ring this gong, you're meant to have your wrongs redressed. But instead, the tyrant here, he's people who are coming with their complaints. This is the same butcher. He's now doubling as the executioner. And instead of dealing with their complaints, he just chops their heads off. He just wipes them out. Right. So that's all of the links here that are kind of going on in the video. And then we got Suga comes up in his car with his crew to challenge the tyrant and tell him to kind of bring it down, bring their complaints. But, and then there's a little joke here. So he kind of like makes his appeal, and he brings out a picture of a really famous South Korean producer named Bang PD. And it's kind of a flex in the sort of way like a young rapper might like mention Diddy or somebody, a really famous producer that they can mention. So there's this little joke here where they're friends with this guy, Bang PD. So they mention, Suga mentions him in the song. And when he brings him up, you see even the tyrant's like, hey, thumbs up, he's okay. So that's sort of like a little wink. But then he makes his own plea here, and like, not in the lyrics so much, but symbolically. But this time the tyrant's like, no, he's done. Arrest him. And then you might remember in the song, it's very, very fast paced until we get to this part here. I'll just put on it kind of drops down in terms of the energy for a quick second, just to kind of remind you of how it shifts, because there's a really interesting wordplay here that happens in Korean. So you notice how like he brought his tone down, he becomes more monotone. In this part of the song, he's talking about how he was chasing things, he was chasing clothes and money, and he got everything he wanted. But now he realizes he's feeling the word is called huntai it started off as a Japanese, again, this is from this guy's channel right here, started off as a Japanese term. It means wise man's time. And it's the period of time. This is the actual definition in the original. It's not used that way in like slang, but the original one wise man's time means the time after you ejaculate, when you have a moment of clarity and all your sexual appetites are satisfied for just a little while, and you're just like a human being without sexual drives. And apparently for some guys, like, this is a shock, or it's something worth noticing, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. For about 10 minutes, you're like, oh, I'm actually calm. This is cool.
Yes, that's hunta. That's the meaning of it. And now in Korean colloquial usage, it just means it's this, like, you work really hard for something and then you get it, and it's like, oh, but that was it. Like, sort of a satisfaction, like, but maybe a disappointed satisfaction. And I think he actually tries to represent that wise man's time, that moment of clarity in the song, by really bringing down the lyrics and bringing down the tone and just being a lot more quiet for that part of it, you know. And then he kicks it back up for the revolutionary part. So just going ahead forward.
So hang on, he came when he got arrested? I'm
not saying that. I'm saying it's a metaphor. Okay. He uses the word hunta. I think I'm right.
Because I'm getting some sub vibes.
Yeah, there might be
in that case.
You know, he goes from being just tied up to being tied up and blindfolded. So I'm not quite sure what the symbolism of that is. This, I have to say that if I had a criticism of the video, I think the sword fight kind of takes the narrative out of order a little bit. But he had to learn the samurai sword dance for this video, so he learned that just for the video, apparently. But yes, so then it comes down to the climax, where here he's brought before the tyrant. He's supposed to be executed, but he starts singing the song title again, and instead of it being for a fanfare for royalty, one could read this scene as he's actually bringing everybody on board with his army, because the people who are face down and not doing anything at the end, when he starts headbanging along with the song, they join in with him. And that's kind of like the people joining in with the music behind him to take down the tyrant. So also, the guy with the sword spits on it. I don't know what that's all about, but it looked pretty cool. He just does like he takes a big mouthful of liquid and sprays it all over it. But yeah, you can see all the people are headbanging along with him. Yeah, and so then instead of executing the rebel, the butcher / executioner, they had a conspiracy, and he frees him, and he symbolically takes down the corporate, or himself, by the end of the video. So, any thoughts on reactions to that?
I don't know what to do with this, Kristi. This is... I mean, it might be true, but I don't know enough about BTS or South Korean
I don't know anything about it
to...
either. I mean, for me, it's I just like the song, to be honest. And I think it's beautiful in its cinematography. It's really thoughtful in its composition. And I like the fact that it's a combination of traditional South Korean history, modernity, Western music, and Eastern influences. Because just having Korean instruments in a hip-hop song is quite amazing, I think.
Well, have you ever heard of the Wu-Tang Clan?
I have heard of the Wu-Tang Clan.
Well then, game over. Okay. But yeah, this doesn't have enough cats for me.
Oh,
to be honest.
Well, sorry about that. I guess the last thing is, can we see it? You want to see the what the song is actually about? What's he saying? We'll do one with the subtitles. And now,
that would probably help. To be honest, we should have done that at the start, I think.
I think tell me if you actually even look at it, anything except the text. But if you don't like it, then I guess I did it wrong. But okay, here we go from the start.
Oh, no, I'm not. It's not about doing anything wrong. It's fine. You do it how you want.
Okay, so here we go. This time with the subtitles. I think they're pretty big, so it should be fine in terms of seeing it. Gangnam Style still better. Get out! Get out!
Why is it not telling us what that means?
It's just saying Dejita over and over, I think. That's why.
Okay, well, let's just
I don't think it's translatable.
It should be.
I love that thing.
Yeah. Oh.
Ah! Sorry, I thought I put them on, but clearly I hadn't. All right. We'll only obviously go back to where it starts. So.
No, see, now I want to see if they do translate the thing at the start. Dickheads.
Nope.
Absolute dickheads.
There's a nice blue filter on that as well. Kind of gives it a gray.
That's a great shot.
It is, isn't it? I mean, obviously it's a drone because that's the only way you could get that shot, but it's beautiful.
No, it's just a really tall dude standing up.
Yeah. Oh. 내가 계란이 범으로 태어났지 적어도 너처럼 약하지 않지 촉박되는 강제롱 단지 속가 존나게 어이없지 싹 다 죽여 난 예의 없이 새끼 그래 너 예외 없이 flexing 난 없지 필요 다 없지 Who's the king who's the boss 다 알잖아 내 이름 이만 산 새끼들 향장 놈의 목을 쳐
Yep. What's wrong?
Our stream has been temporarily blocked because we detected copyrighted audio and video.
Oh no. Oops. See, I thought everybody was all the videos had it on and there wasn't a problem, so I didn't think it would be a problem for us. So, is it temporarily done?
It says temporarily blocked.
Oh, maybe the video in itself has been blocked entirely then, and we're not streaming. So
well,
is it gone?
Apparently, but not. Over to what?
Yeah. Oh well, I thought it would work, but it didn't. Sorry. I think I just shut us down. Sorry for wasting everybody's time.
It was no waste of time. You introduced me to a new thing.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting once you understand what's going on.
Yeah, no, it was certainly a bit of interesting bit of cinema. I don't know that K-pop's for me, to be honest. But
hey, this isn't actually K-pop. K-pop's nothing like this. This is more hip-hop than K-pop. K-pop was always
so it's K-hop.
Yeah, it's more like boy band music. So,
which is K-hop is, by the way, it's the one in the letter, the alphabet before I-hop. So.
Sorry, people in the chat are like, "What's going on?" They want to know if we're going back, but I don't think we are.
And We saw your closed captions while you were down.
Oh, that's interesting. And back?
Are we back? Are we
I
back
don't know.
live?
Does it say? Does it say that
Your stream is no longer being blocked due to copyright issues. Okay, there we go. Well, you got a taste of whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah. I guess what we can do is put the music down and just run this, and you can look at the lyrics so you can know what they are when you go back and watch it. But
Kristi wants to tempt fate.
yes, apparently. So we're back. Hurrah. So now that you guys know more about the cultural situation and also the critique of the music industry, the corporate music industry dominance, I think people will really get a lot more out of it. Because the first time I watched it, I liked the song, but I was like, what the heck is going on? I understand nothing. And there was a lot of thought and craft that went into the making of this.
I didn't think it would be K-pop that would bring my channel down.
You thought it would be...
But so Kristi, clearly she was playing the long game and thought, well, I could just take his channel down, whatever, but no, I'll do it through K-pop.
Yeah, that's
This is Kristi's getting Kev Ban flex. She's doing it on hard mode. I
guess we could do it once, but not twice. So, yeah, we're glad it didn't kill the channel, too. But, yeah, go check out the video, and go check out the explainer video as well. It's, like I said, I've only touched on, he talks about some of the history, the specific kings, and the time period, a lot more about the language and the culture, so, yeah.
Emperor Dave, yeah.
Yes.
We get some mention, I imagine.
Yeah. So, sorry that we got the temporary block. Apologies for that, but at least...
I wonder if it's going to go, if it'll retroactively mute all of it now, then. Because it's done that before. There was, oh my God, what thing was I involved with? It was like a not a charity stream, but like a kind of collaborative stream thing. And they played like a tiny bit of copyrighted music right at the very beginning for like 20 seconds, about the first 10 minutes. And it was a 4-hour stream, and they kept it up, but they silenced everything. It was just a silent video for 4 hours. Yeah. So it was like you could see the different. It was back when the old Google Hangouts was on, so you could see the different avatars popping up to show you who was speaking, but you couldn't hear a fucking thing. I just thought that's ridiculous. Anyway. Yeah. No, I don't know if YouTube have upped their game since then and can do something a bit more, whatever. But
yeah.
I mean, but also fuck you, YouTube. You literally only exist because people copyright stealing stuff to begin with.
Look,
so,
we all know that they're just gonna that the company that owns this is just gonna come in and copyright claim your whole video. So what? You don't monetize your stuff anyway.
Well,
so
I wasn't going to earn anything from it anyway, and I don't mind. They can have the fucking
revenue.
2.5 pence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine. We've introduced a bunch of new people to K-pop. Also, well, actually K-hip hop, because this is not K-pop. We were saying when we were blocked. This is not. Yeah. This is hip hop.
Well, Kristi was saying that. I don't know what the fuck she's talking about, but yeah, okay. Also, yeah, it's so strange because this is clearly fair use, because you gave what can only be described as one of the most delightfully eloquent, if somewhat novelesque in length, descriptions of the song to begin with. So this is clearly commentary.
Yeah, but we didn't break it up. Yeah, we should have broken it up more for fair use, but whatever.
We should have, should we, Kristi? We, all of a sudden, I'm in control of things again, am I? Mm-hmm.
I should have, maybe broken it up. But it's kind of just, the song itself it's hard to break up because you just want to I want to bang my head to it. The whole time I was listening to it, it's just my shoulders were going.
All I can say is, digitar, play it louder.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I know one word in Korean now. So.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of Korean people don't even know what it was. I'm like, what is this? Because it's such an obscure word. But
well, yeah. Well, I mean, I presume that it happens in English a lot, although we've got a lot more words than any other language. That's literally true, by the way. We've got nearly twice as many as the nearest, which is Russian. Otherwise, the second most. And
do you know I know part of the reason why that is.
Because we were stealing shit from everywhere else.
Well,
so we just got loads of stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of migration, like the Roman occupation brought in some terms and ideas and phrases, but the Normans
not just that,
as well.
But you've got, yeah, exactly, the doubling up of French and English.
Yep. So you get venison and deer, you get swine and pork, you get chicken and poultry, So we have multiple.
Birth.
Yes.
Birth.
Got a lot of
And
words
so on.
to say the same thing in different occupying languages. Or, not all.
True, but then
occupying.
we've now got the weird situation where the Académie Française, who, by the way, might be the most petty and stupid institution in Europe, other than maybe UKIP, I suppose. Anyway, are desperately trying to stop the influence of English on French now.
Yeah, they have a whole committee where they invent French words to replace other languages. So like ordinateur instead of computer.
Yeah, which is ridiculous because you just think usage is the arbiter of what a language is. French, as they want to keep it, is only been French for a very short period of time.
Well, yeah, that's the same thing that I was actually thinking about Carl's argument about keeping Britain British. I'm like, what fucking Britain are you thinking of? Like 17th century Adam Smith, because that's gone. That Britain hasn't existed for centuries. So what are you trying to preserve exactly? What time period did this Britain ever exist? Yeah. Like,
it was white people.
It's just a figment of his imagination. Britain, it was never the Britain he thought
that's
it was.
That's the entirety of nationalism.
Yeah.
Literally, the entirety of nationalism is we want to go back to a
golden
time in the past that never actually existed, that we probably would have fucking hated had we lived there because human progression works that way.
Yeah.
Like these motherfuckers earn their living on the internet, but when I go back to a time when they would have had to have written for newspapers, which involved actual talent and skill and hard work and stuff.
Yeah, before mass education
and
literacy.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Before all the benefits.
Before penicillin.
Yeah.
Like, come on, don't be silly. Anyway, so it's selling a lie to people, and ultimately is self-defeating because you'll consume your own anyway, as we saw with ultimately Nazi Germany. You'll end up killing loads of quote-unquote Aryans as well, because you're always looking for the next enemy, because you need an enemy to survive.
Yeah,
it's essentially a reaction to a thing rather than a thing in of itself.
Yeah, a guy on Twitter wrote an article saying, "Dear fellow white men, the fascists will come for you. They might come for you last, but they will come for you."
Well, I know they won't come for me last, but yeah, I know the general point. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're going to be like, you're going to convert to Islam just to spite them.
Yeah. Who's to say I haven't already? Yeah, and I'm a filthy communist, of course. So,
yeah.
Did you see? Oh God! I mean, I know we're getting a bit real world here, but one angry gamer started a list of traitors, organizations, and people who support the BLM movement and all the rest of it, who are traitors who they should never fund in the future and stuff. You think, could you be a bit more dystopian, please?
Yeah,
that's awesome. Enemies lists, awesome.
Yeah, people asking for not getting executed by the police is somehow being a traitor. How does that make sense?
Well, in racist land, it makes perfect sense. I was going to say, in the last show, I said we watched the video of the guy escaping the police.
Yes, yeah.
And doing a little celebration thing. And I said someone should set that to sports trash talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that. Yeah. It's on my channel.
Yes. I watched that earlier.
28-second video.
Yeah. A
little bit of silliness from anyone who was wondering, a guy called Chris Smoove, who does sports-based... what do they call it? Play-alongs or whatever? I don't know. Basically, he plays sports games and commentates his own sports performances and stuff. And he's very, very funny guy. And he's the voice that crops up. It's not actually anyone in the video, obviously.
Yeah. Since we kind of did a distraction, I guess I wanted to get at least an hour out of that, but the copyright kind of shut that down a little bit earlier. But I guess I didn't mention it earlier, but we did our D&D for BLM stream last night.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it started for me at 10 o'clock, and we wrapped up at 5:30 in the morning.
Which, as I said, I think playing D&D for that long counts as self-harm.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
I think you seriously, that's at the point. Like, if I'd known it would have been gone that long, I think an intervention would have been necessary.
Well, at the end, the intervention was necessary for the DM, because the DM at some point just like lost it with us. He's like, I set this up for you. I set this up for you so you would do it. And he just sort of went on a rant, and we were all just laughing. I mean, he was doing it humorously. R&D, Rhetoric and Discourse, who was the dungeon master. And I kind of just pulled out a little reference from the happy hour and went, oh my God, we broke the DM. And then everybody burst out in laughter again. Also, the happy hour does get some drops in it. Like we had, there's one character has an elk that he can like call and ride, and he's got a certain name, but we call him Dave. Like all the other party members call him Dave, except the guy who owns him, who gets really pissed when we call him Dave.
Dave.
There's another little happy hour thing. But sorry, what I wanted to say was, we ended up with all of the donations. We made it over $1,000. That
awesome.
We raised.
Clap, 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 clap,
well,
clap.
This is the thing. Like, I'm glad that we did it, and I'm grateful for everybody who contributed, and I was happy to contribute. But I just don't feel like patting myself on the back at all, because I feel like this is like raising money for some people who've just had their house burned down. And the whole thing is that we knew that their house was going to burn down. And instead of like doing the work necessary to stop their house from getting burned down, after they've gone through the trauma, we're like, oh, sorry. Now I don't want to dismiss anybody else's contribution again, because it is important to get people out of jail when they protest, and I'm all for that, or however the BLM DC Legal Fund decides to spend the money. But it's just like I don't feel any better by putting a Band-Aid on a wound that I should.
Well, you should.
Yeah.
You shouldn't necessarily feel better or worse or anything. It's a matter of doing what you can realistically. Kristi, neither you or I can fundamentally just go and change systemic racism in America.
But
that's not gonna. We're not like, we don't hold the position to be able to do that. But what we can do is at least make some concrete change in actual people's lives. And raising $1,000, however smaller number that may seem in the grand scheme of things, that might actually keep a person out of jail. And that's an amazing thing. You've changed someone's life in an amazing, positive way. It's not going to change the system. That takes bigger things, which we can also be a part of. But ultimately, you've made a concrete difference in someone's life, a person you'll never meet, and that doesn't matter. You've made a positive contribution to a good cause, and that's something to be proud of. However much you might not necessarily feel that way, I'm certainly proud of you.
Well, Kristi had the idea, I should also say. She was the one who, like, we were going to game, and she's like, I doesn't feel it. But just to give credit where credit was due, she's like, I don't feel right gaming when other people are marching. And so we decided for people who can't march, we were going to game, but do it to bring attention. And I see where you're coming from. I absolutely see where you're coming from. But on my Sunday show, I'm going to talk about a video, and I'm going to play a video from a black woman who actually took the time to make a video saying, when black people are marching, and then white people show up and like educate me, like tell me what to do to help, and just like it's one more thing for them to do. We think we're being helpful, but all we're doing is asking them to do more work for us instead of doing it for ourselves. So she made a video about what you can do as a white person, and it felt like the right answer. Finally, I was actually finally told the right answer, because I've heard a lot of people, including Tim Wise, talk about the problems in the abstract and talk about people's lives in individual levels. But what she said was, okay, so if you've decided, if you really want to become an ally on this issue, if you want to become an ally of anti-racism, the first thing you have to do as a white person is think, okay, what have I done to keep this going? What misunderstandings have I had? What stereotypes have I had? How have I, in my behavior or what I've let slip by, perpetuated this? And really reflect on that. Go inside yourself and all the icky parts and your prejudices, and think about the ways in which you enable racism to continue in white spaces. And she said, then the next step is, if I could just continue, all right. And then she's like, the next step is to actually cultivate anti-racism in your personal space. And that means being the white person, the white friend who, if someone makes a racist joke, steps up and says, that's not funny, and I really, I think you need to not say those things around me because I don't think that, or whatever, however you want to do that, however you want to be an ally. And then she kind of moves on, like in hiring, don't just do diversity hires. Are you really looking at people of color as, are you recruiting people of color who have talent? Are you actively engaging in these things? And that's the kind of stuff, talking about these issues on this channel, for instance, when we talk about racism from a white perspective and we criticize not only the white supremacists, but the white moderates and the white left. And we give alternatives to what we are seeing people do in the name of either promoting white supremacy or saying that they're against it, trying to find that voice for our way of being allies to people. And that's a lot harder to do than marching. That's a lot harder to do than just giving money. And so I think that I appreciate everything that you were saying about it's important to help people. But white people marching isn't actually going to solve racism in white spaces, in white-only spaces, if white people don't have the courage to be an ally, not just in public, but in their private lives as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely concur with that. But that's somewhat irrelevant to the immediate need, if that makes sense, that you can still do the work on a personal level and indeed look the content we create or whatever, to try and tackle racism on that more basic level or that more intricate level. But ultimately, people do need money right now.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of legal costs and healthcare costs, and people just generally trying to live with their shit. And to be fair, it's a person we've criticised on this channel quite rightly in the past, but I thought Kanye West's thing of setting up a college fund for which I can't remember which of the victims, I apologise, but one of the recently slain black people's daughter. Oh, that was a really nice touch.
Probably George Floyd's 6-year-old daughter. I think he had a 6-year-old daughter.
Yeah, okay, yeah, possibly. I've tried to stay away from the news today. I needed like a little bit of a break, frankly, because it's fucking dreadful. But so yeah, okay, that it might very well be that person. So I thought that was quite nice. But like I say, there's that much more important, longer term thing of changing your behaviour and changing the society around you, and then there's an immediate need of people who are going to be in fucking court in the next few days. There's a disconnect there, and what you did in the D&D game can't possibly have any real massive impact on the former, but it can have a concrete impact on the latter in real people's lives day to day. And you can do both, and I hope you do, but you've certainly done this one thing, and that's good. I think you can be proud of that, and Kristi can be proud of that, and everyone who gave can be proud of that.
Yeah, and they donated their time, and people donated their artwork, and the organization and everything else. So, and we put it all together in 24 hours. So it was.
And yeah, speaking of white leftists who we often talk about, they don't do the right thing. One white leftist who I think did a wonderful thing today actually was Thought Slime. I don't know if you saw their video today. Instead of putting out a thing, because he literally at the start of the thing, well, I'm not going to do a regular upload. Do you think I'm going to stand here talking about fucking cartoons right now? No. And then made like a 20-minute video outlining black content creators on YouTube you should go and follow. The links obviously in the description. And that was wonderful. Yeah, good. Because we do need to listen to more black people, especially left tube, whatever you want to call it, left people on the internet. Like to talk a good talk, but there aren't many black people prominently in the community.
Nope.
That needs to change.
Yep. Yeah. And that's part of the problem of when it's a white leftist dominated space, when they start talking about racial equality and they aren't including people of color in that conversation, or it's not, or there are people of color from within the ideological perspective, then they kind of frame things, there's not a lot of give and take, there's not a lot of listening. It's more like, here's how our ideology solves the current problem, as opposed to listening to what people are saying on the streets and what they're asking for.
Well, yeah, I mean, you literally saw that in some very, very hot takes from certain people on the internet on the left, reacting to the way in which black people voted in the Democratic primaries. They didn't vote the way they liked, and so they were No, I mean, if they just stopped at being condescending or nasty, that would be bad enough. But they went far beyond that, in my eyes, to a really disgusting place.
Yeah, calling them ignorant, uneducated, and all the racial stereotypes. They don't know that it was a white man's burden. It was a white man's leftist burden. It's up to us to educate these people because they don't understand their own needs.
Yeah. Exactly, and it's not just that, but it's oh god, these uppity blacks. They're not grateful for all the work we put in to try and help them. Why do we even bother? Like, oh fuck you cunt!
Yeah,
how dare you? Ugh. Anyway,
not helping.
Well, that's a thing. Yeah. No, not helping. Really, really not helping either yourself or anyone else. But then again, you have to wonder. Are they doing it for anyone else, or are they just doing it for the coin? Mm-hmm. Which is ironic, given that many of the people we're talking about are supposedly Marxists. Mm-hmm. But there we go.
But they live within the capitalist system, so of course they have to operate within it and use. Yeah.
No, absolutely. But the point being,
but that would be the.
If you've got critiques of capital and you're doing it for capital, well, that's not. That doesn't. It doesn't suggest that you hold a real principle there. Look, I understand, but trust me, as a person who does a job that they don't particularly like in order to not be homeless and starve, I understand perfectly well how you have to fit in within the capitalist system. It's not really a choice. It's not very democratic in many respects. But there are certain things I won't do for money. Like I've always said, I could do what Sargon does, but better.
Yeah.
But I refuse to because it's disgusting and abominable.
Yeah, there's definitely.
But I could make a lot of money doing it. Yeah. But I have no interest in doing so because I couldn't sleep at night. I wouldn't be able to live with myself.
You and I can literally afford to be honest because we don't rely on this for our income. But people who do have to cultivate and sort of constantly be moving around the opinion of their audiences and rejigging and responding and kind of trying to find that sweet spot. I think, like June. Grifting, basically looking for whatever is the most popular opinion or a popular opinion within a certain group of people who will be willing to give them money. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's the basic gist. Yeah. Oh, and Matt Hummels.
Yes, and Hummel figurines. By the way, I did see there was trending today on Twitter the hashtag white coats for Black Lives. And apparently across the country, doctors and other health professionals, but people mostly in their, like lab coats, they put them on to match the hashtag. We're going out and taking a knee for 8 minutes and 42 seconds across the country.
Oh, okay.
And again,
that's cool.
Very diverse. I saw a white woman who said, "I will remain silent no more. I will be an advocate for racial justice in medical treatment or care," or something.
Oh, that's cool.
Or racial equity or equality or something. Because we know that disproportionately people of color have poorer health outcomes because of lack of access to healthcare and other resources. So, yep.
Well, indeed. Yeah, absolutely. And so we'll be back to more serious stuff than the main body of what this show was today.
And for the people who like
episodes, but we just needed a little bit of a break.
Yeah. And for people who like the song, not Kevin, but I think he appreciates the video. I think I could say that.
Well, no, I can appreciate the art. I'm not. There's nothing wrong with that necessarily. And the video was exquisite.
Yes.
But it's just not for me. It's not my thing, to be honest.
That's fine. But if you did like it, you can go check it out now. Unfortunately, nothing else on the album is like that. I already listened to it, so pretty much I'm just going to put this in my hip hop track list on Spotify, and I'll put that in circulation, and I'll be jamming out to it. You should see me dance around my house to that with my headphones on. I put my headphones into the club setting with the really high bass and a slight echo.
And I think it'll work well in that list because they do call Eminem the white sugar. So
yes, they do.
That's a reference I definitely wouldn't have been able to make an hour ago because I'd never heard of him.
So, have you had any more? Have you seen any more episodes of Dave?
No, not as of yet.
Okay.
I've kept meaning to, but I've personal issues have intervened. / I was also at a thing yesterday, as previously described.
Yes, yeah.
Those are my excuses. Yeah, I could have made time. I haven't.
So
I will, but I haven't yet.
So Kevin was a little, he was pretending to be outraged with me over Dave because he felt duped. Because we watched, or I mentioned the Little Dicky live thing. But did we watch that here on the show?
Did we watch it off air?
Oh, we might have watched it off air, yeah, because we were reading about a copyright strike. And then I told him it was from his show, Dave, and that it was funny. And so you went and watched an episode, came back and said, yeah, it's pretty good. And I was like, oh, is it? I've never seen it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you've brought it up. I'd completely forgotten about that. I was and am still outraged by that.
Even though you forgot about it.
She
outraged.
recommended a television show to me that she hadn't even fucking watched.
But
that is outrageous. That is fucking outrageous behaviour.
And did you like it? Was it funny?
Not the point. You hadn't seen it. You were leading me down a blind path. I could have been a cliff. You don't know, do you? It's a disgrace.
I trust you.
But it is.
Fern. I trust
it. Doesn't. Well, no, because no human being ever hits a home run with every swing. This could have been a complete fucking dud, and you'd led me down the path with it. And
Instead, you said you laughed out loud, which you rarely do. Betrayal is
the only word,
which you rarely do with TV shows.
The fact that it was a very, very funny thing and I enjoyed it enormously is irrelevant to the fact that you betrayed me. You betrayed my trust. You let me down. You've let the show down, and you've let yourself down.
We did it off air. I didn't let the show down. But it's funny to listen to you rant. So
thank you.
Wind you up and let you go.
Yeah. Well, you do wonderful, delightful descriptions of. Certainly from a Western point of view, niche cultural things, and I rant pointlessly about things I don't actually believe, like being outraged at a show, even though it's literally just a thing I kind of noticed and went, oh, that's a bit strange. But I built it up into a thing. Fuck it, why not?
Yes. Well, if I'm bringing you something, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be hip-hop. So... Oh, the show is Dave. It's the comedy by Dave Bird, also known as Little Dicky. And he did a series for FX.
Indeed, it is.
I believe. Mm-hmm. Semi-autobiographical. So, I know what I showed you. I didn't show you his live hip-hop. I showed you the song about him going to prison. That's what I showed you. He has a sort of, it must be like a fantasy, sort of like he goes to prison for exposing his nuts at a show. And it's his life in prison, and it's absolutely hilarious. Like his ability to tell a story while rhyming.
Yeah. Well, if you look that up, there's a problematic element to it. But
yes,
the bit where he's describing these the weird little asides, which are so on point to life, the way people do talk. When he's going on about the black people are described as the blacks. I'm not sure they'll take to that. And then he comes back later and goes, they definitely did not like being called the blacks.
He got that. No, I was with the blacks. I'm with the blacks.
With the blacks, yeah. Yes. They definitely didn't like being called the blacks.
Little Dicky. I think it's just called...
Don't fucking play.
I'm not going to play it.
Material
no.
Channel.
I'm just going to show. I'm going to show people. This is.
You're going to do what the Nazis and the fucking Andy and Go stands couldn't. Take me down.
So it's called
K-pop and your weird white people rapping.
So that didn't get taken down. It's been up for a month, but yeah, it's called Jail from Dave Little Dicky. I see there's a part 1. We'll have to watch this off air now. And yeah, it's very funny. And of course, look at this picture. Of him coming out of sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, him coming out of a pair of underwear like a penis. That's just...
Yeah. Well, the stage name is Little Dicky. I mean, that's... His name is literally a dick joke.
He says that in the Sway rap. He's like, my name is a dick joke. Like, how did I get this far? My rap name's a dick joke, I think he says. Yeah, so that's really... Well, so yeah, it is problematic.
Hang on, whoa. Andy and Go is trying to sue Antifa. Well, good luck filing those papers, you stupid bastard. Well, where are you going to do that?
No, this is just his another grift. He's setting up a legal
defense. Of course it is, yeah. But it's ridiculous. Like, who are you going to serve those papers to? Yeah. And how quickly do you think those papers will be set on fire, you idiot?
So I guess for people who do want to see it, the problematic part of it is that it's the whole thing of that he's worried about being sexually assaulted in prison. So that's kind of an ongoing.
Which, it is problematic. This sort of deriving a certain amount of humor from it, but it is also a thing that is like
a legit
real
thing that got
if I was to go to jail, that would be my number one issue straight off the bat. Was am I going to get bombed in the showers? I don't particularly want that, thank you. Like if I'm in there for a long stretch, I might end up engaging in that because they do.
Yeah,
You've got no other choice really at that point. But at least that's kind of consensual,
Yeah,
whereas being raped is not a great one. Also being killed, I suppose, would be another.
Right. And by the way, there is no actual sexual assault in the song, but just the theme of his anxiety over it is pretty much like a driving theme. His fear of it is pervasive.
Well, it is. It's true. It shouldn't be a thing,
right?
So the fact that it is a thing means that one of the real dissuasions from doing things that might get you landed in jail is if you go to jail, you're probably going to end up having to deal with that at some point. So,
Which doesn't make the way that people get put into prison and then they can't afford bail, so they just sit in prison before they're even charged or before they're tried. And their prison, their trial dates keep getting pushed back or whatever. I mean, there was a person who committed suicide, wasn't there? He was in prison for like 2 years on a charge. It was ridiculous. But anyway, that's a whole other topic. We can go down some other day. So yeah, if you want something escapism, you can check that out. It's your channel, so.
Oh, well, you want to stop now, do you?
Well, I was running out of things to say, unless you. We're going to change the subject.
Having mentioned how we should push forward black voices, you've said we should go and listen to this white man rapping.
He's actually Jewish.
Good.
But he's
still white.
He is white and Jewish. So he's like, yes. He actually has a song called...
He's wooish.
Yes, he's got a song called White Crime. And it's just like all the white crime kind of things. Yes. It's pretty... Yes, it's obviously tongue-in-cheek. So...
Yeah.
Maybe I'll show you that after this.
He pushes certain boundaries, the chap.
Well, yeah, I mean, we looked at his sway in the morning thing, right? And that line, okay, this is really offensive, but it's also, I'm eating the pussy like cervical cancer. I mean,
yeah.
like,
yeah,
like you go, oh, but it's funny, but oh, it's like The Onion. Sometimes The Onion used to have really good, like, I shouldn't be laughing at this, but I am kind of jokes. Like, doctors to aging seniors don't bother.
Yeah.
Like that's
but I saw The Onion's great one this week was the NRA accidentally forget to rise up against totalitarian government. Which is nice.
Yeah, where are all those guys with their AR-15s and open carries now? Huh? Oh wait, they're literally
doing the boot work of the totalitarian government they're supposedly arming themselves against.
Yes.
There we go. Anyway, thank you all for listening or watching or some shit to whatever you did listen or watch to, because we don't know where it got off.
Yeah, this might never show up. This might be a one-off, a live show that never gets aired again because it's just going to be behind a copyright wall.
Almost certainly.
Or there's only the last 20 minutes of the show will be audible. You just have to clip out the first 60 minutes.
Yeah. My live streaming page is frozen. Bollocks. I have to reload. So if you want to continue talking for a second,
right.
Kristen.
Yeah. So just generally check out Little Dicky. If you want to see a fantastic, really well shot video, again, very creative, very cinematic. What's the word I'm looking for? Cinematographic? No, just pretty pictures.
Cinema.
I know, it's really hard to say. It's called Pillow Talk, and it's absolutely really, really, really funny, conversational, and it's got dinosaurs. And it's got brains.
You sold me. You absolutely already. Take my money.
This is a really, really great song. So it's
clever. It's funny. It's got dinosaurs.
Yes, cinematic. Yes, it's incredibly cinematic.
No, cinematographer.
Yes, and jumping in, whatever it was.
Jumping in. Yeah. Oh, that's a word now. Made that a word.
All right. So
oh God, this is slightly strange, but as we need to ramble anyway, I watched just because it popped up in my recommendations. I don't know why. I don't know why YouTube, considering what I usually watch, why they thought I would want to watch this, but I did. Was do you know Zach Galifianakis' show, the Between Two Thirds, the one he did with Barack Obama?
Yeah,
when he was president, right?
Yeah, for the
which
ACA.
is fucking mental that ever happened, but amazing nonetheless.
Yeah.
And I remember watching. It's funny. It's good, and I just think, I mean, as much as I don't give a fuck if anyone particularly likes Barack Obama's policies or whatever, but just having a president who was cool enough to do some shit like that.
Yeah, can I just say, no matter who's president, they're going to piss you off. Every single president is going to do something to piss you off. So, I mean, I think that's just stipulated. But at least he made an effort. He had a good heart. He was smart. Like, he it wasn't just like he was naturally smart, which he was, but he was curious about the world. And he cares about people. He actually, he's sincere when he talks. And when he has pain, you feel it. And right now, all we have is a guy who cares about his polling numbers and putting up, oh, did you see hashtag? Oh, you haven't because you've not been on Twitter. There's a new hashtag today, hashtag Babygate.
No, what's this?
It's referring to the 2 miles of fencing that Trump has put around the White House.
For God's sake. Well, I saw people referring to him as bunker bitch.
Yeah, so it's bunker bitch or bunker baby and his baby gate. Like the only wall he managed to build was the one around himself.
Yeah, which is both metaphoric and now literal.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I just like the play on words, both baby gate, because it's a gate for the bunker baby, and also baby gate, which is just a term we use, because their toddlers are too irresponsible to be allowed out. Just to roam free without anyone watching them. I
really wish terms of service would allow me to say what I want to say about Donald Trump, but it doesn't.
Tony Blakeway is in the chat saying, jumping around, jumping around. If you remember, jump.
Yes, I do, yes. The House of Pain and... Yes,
they're one hit that everyone remembers.
Indeed.
Much like Groove is in the Heart and Delight.
Yeah. And other one-hit wonders.
And many other one-hit wonders.
99 Luftballons.
Yes. Nina, right?
Yeah.
So are we back? Are we refreshed?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we've been refreshed for ages, but you were talking.
Okay. Well, we were talking about Lil Dicky, which I always like talking about, so that's okay.
Yes. So, thank you for listening and watching to however much of this was ever listenable or watchable. Watchable? That's another one. Fucking hell. I'm on a fucking roll tonight.
You're just like adding, it's like a German, because a lot of German words, like lesen.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Kristi, shut up. I'm trying to fucking end the bastard show. So we don't need a 2-hour lecture on fucking German language construction. Oh. Now go on, what were you saying?
Can we just a quick shout out to the DC mayor who painted Black Lives Matter on a street and turned it into Black Lives Matter Plaza.
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
Good.
Oh, and it leads right up to, it's the road that leads up to the grass that leads up to the White House.
Oh, cool. Well, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. What was I going to say? Yeah, I'll be done. Yeah. So thank you for listening and watching. Listening and watching to the show. I'm Kevin Logan. It's goodbye from me, and say goodbye, Kristi Winters.
Goodbye, Kristi Winters.